My least favorite part, guys. Just the monotonous, repetitive hand sanding. Probably you guys' least favorite part too, by the time this is over. Oh. Apparently that wasn't clamped in very well. What we got in here? Neil, Keith, Marco, Joe Isabella. Just talked to Joe Isabella. Well, just messaged Joe Isabella a few minutes ago. He sent me some kick-ass janks. Got those in today. I don't really have any bevel grinding to do tonight, but I got a bunch of steel to cut up and get shaped. Lots of different shapes though, at least it won't be monotonous. Very few batch type knives this time. It's mostly one-offs orders from folks. That's always a little more fun. And I need to get scales on these joke wolves for those of you who wanted them. I've only got 4 guys, so it seems like they're getting a lot of interest. You might want to speak up pretty soon if you want one of this first batch. I've got the steel to make more, but they still got to go to heat treat, and so they're at least a couple of weeks out. But don't do it on here because I have no way of keeping up with that. Hit me up on Instagram. Let me know if you want one of this first batch of joke wolves. I've got 4. 3 of them are hologram Warncliffs, like so. This one just happens to be acid washed. And then I have one very thinly flat ground drop point. So we'll be working on getting scales on these. There's a hologram satin. It's dirty, but this one broke my heart, man. I had to scale on it. That's the one I was drilling the other night when my drill bit bound up, and it did snap that scale material. And I do not have enough to reuse that, so. Did I see Kyle in here? I thought I saw. Yeah. Kyle's just happy to see me hand sanding scales, I bet. But this gentleman has been waiting a while on this knife, man. This thing has been the bane of my existence. Super simple, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Mostly with the handles though. The heat treat went well. 65 HRC crew wear. The grind went great. I'll be honest, it's probably not as thick behind the edge as it should be, but as tough as crew wear is, it should be just fine unless he starts chopping cinder blocks with it. And I don't foresee, said Stevie, chopping cinder blocks anytime soon, so. So it should all be good. I've learned a lot in the past few weeks, guys. I know my handle refinement still likes some work. I'm aware of that. I appreciate you guys for being patient with me. I'm trying to get better at it with these messed up hands of mine. It just doesn't come as natural to me as it would some folks, but trying to get better at it. I will admit, I feel bad for anybody that's got so little to do on a Friday night that they're stuck here watching me do this. I think other people are live too. I don't know if I'm intruding on Javon's 11th or 12th live stream of the week. I know said factions tonight. I don't know if I'll be home for that or not. Kind of depends on how this goes. And I've got many more handles to do, so I may not. But I got a belly full of Hunt's Brothers pizza, a big old 32-ounce Dr. Pepper, so my blood sugar should be good and peaked. I ought to have plenty of energy. In case you guys are wondering which knife this is the Sasquatch. This is a custom order from Mr. Said Stevie a long time ago, way too long ago, to be honest. The fact that he's not mad at me, probably a miracle. It's not that I've ignored it, just every time I've worked on it, something has gone horrifically wrong. I don't even remember which number sets of scales this is that's on here now, but definitely not the first set, I can tell you that much. It's probably the 5th, 6th, somewhere around in there. Before long, we're going to have as much in scale material. I say we. Stevie's been kind enough to buy it. He's going to have as much in scale material as he does in crew wear. Seems impossible, but if you make enough mistakes, it's not, because you know, Stevie's not buying cheap scale material, but I will say this, man. This last stuff that he's bought, this, I think he got it from Maker Supply. This Midnight Black Jute Micarta. I want some more of this. I actually went on to order it, and they don't have any of the sheets. All they have are little blanks, you know, enough to do one knife, and I don't want to buy that because, mostly because it's only 1.5 inches wide. I want the whole sheet like he sent me, which is just like 12 by 12 or something like that. But this is the toughest handle material I have ever experienced. It takes as much effort and time to drill this as it does drilling a piece of steel. My cheap bandsaw, I have destroyed it trying to cut this stuff. So you may even wonder, you know, with that getting so thin right there, is that gonna hold up? Yeah, it will. That's tough shit. Extremely tough stuff. Fortunately, it sands pretty decent. It's not a real booger to sand. So it's not all that abrasion resistance, but the last set of scales I made out of this stuff for this knife that I ruined, I had to baton my Spyderco Shaman through them to get them off. It was not easy. And this is such a big knife, guys. Let me wipe some of that dust off so you can get a look at what that material. I put solid aluminum pins in it, so it'd be plenty of strong without weighing a whole lot. These are starting to feel really good, man. I wasn't sure about this ramp, this angle I put on this, but guys, that comes in perfect when you lay your thumb alongside of it. It gives your thumb somewhere to rest right there to do work. I just didn't want a straight line across here. I almost regretted doing it until I put it on there. And as you can see, when you grab this knife and you lay your thumb there, it feels much better than it being out here on a big thick piece of scale material. It just lays right on that ramp, man. It gives you very good control, you know, doing fine cuts, feather sticking, whatever you need to do. I'm a really big fan of that. That was my first time trying it. So let's see what this stuff looks like when you re-oil it, when you get a little oil on this. I think you guys are going to be impressed. You'll see why I want more of this. And as soon as it's available, I will own more of it. So when you oil it back up, it's got a little shine to it, but you can still see the jute cord pattern in there, and it's just, I don't know, man. It gives you a really good grip. But put some oil on this side. I actually like the way it looks before it's oiled. But keep in mind, when you oil Micarta like that, it's not going to stay that dark and shiny looking for long. It'll soak in and kind of fade back out some, and that's when this stuff looks its best. It almost looks best dry. Is Stevie in here? Little spot of oil on there. I'm not quite done with the sanding. As you can see, I've got a little spot right here. I'm going to put that back on my Scotch-Brite wheel on my grinder and smooth that up. Doesn't hurt anything, but it just looked better if it wasn't there. So Let's go dig into that. There's Josh Branson. Josh, I hadn't forgot you, bub. When I called you the other day, I didn't really need anything. I was just checking in on you, and every time I've thought about it since then, the timing just hadn't worked out. So I apologize. That came off there quite quick and easy. Really cool the job these Scotch-Brite etching guys do. It leaves a beautiful finish. However, I've got the speed turned down. Even with the speed turned down, as you can see, right here, it kind of burnt the epoxy in that micarta a little bit. If you keep trying to grind that out on the belt, it just keeps getting worse. So eventually, you got to go back and hand sand that out. That was all learned in due time, man. I kept trying to figure out how to fix it, and to be honest, kept making it worse. Because I was using the same method to fix it that I used to mess it up to begin with. So now I know it just takes some high grit and some elbow grease to remove that brown, I guess you'd call it, it's just burnt epoxy. The epoxy got hot. Kind of loses its color. You can tell the weather's starting to cool off, man. You can hear them crotch rocket idiots out all night. I guess it cools off around here really when people like to ride. Alabama's just so hot and sticky during the summer, man. It's hard to have on all that gear and be able to enjoy yourself. The other night, I thought it was just passing through, man, but I just kept hearing them over and over and over and over. I don't know if they were racing out on the highway, but they definitely had the RPMs up on those things. I'm glad I didn't have the money to own one of those when I was young. I'd probably be dead because I love the idea of it. But I don't like the circumstances. I'm not the biggest Micarta guy, but that does look really good. It will patina. Yes, it will. It's this is jute micarta, so it's actual. You see like that. Those Japanese swords that are jute wrap. It just looks kind of like the old string that you used to cut off a bale of hay. That's what it reminds me of. But It's just a material woven out of that stuff, and they make micarta out of it. And man, it is unbelievably strong. I'd put this against any linen or any other micarta, to be honest. It's just a tougher product. I got something new I might try right quick, guys. I just got these in. I'm not sure if this is the right tool for the job, but I'm going to give it a shot and see what it does right quick. If you just bear with me. I ordered these. Just got them in tonight. Didn't really have a planned purpose for them, but seeing that little rounded nook in there made me think of this product. So I want to see how it works out. So I don't actually know what their intended use is. Well, that slicked it right the hell up. That was pretty impressive, actually. And it took no time to do it. Only issue, I've still got that little light brown spot on here. And that just has to come out, bad as I hate it. I don't know what this stuff would look like if you sanded it to a full polish, but when it came, it looked like, I mean, it just looked like black plastic. It was so void of any texture or pattern. And I know Stevie doesn't like shiny micarta. So this will not be shiny when he gets it. So I just put some, just rubbed her down with some alcohol to remove all that oil. I don't know what that little spot right there is. That's the only problem with working with micartas, guys. Sometimes you just sand in and you discover a little void or something, but I won't try to get that out because I don't particularly care for it. Me and Kyle were talking about this the other night. Sometimes you'll have a little void like that, and or sometimes it's just a little minute, like white hairline that you can see. And when you decide to start sanding it out, as you're sanding it down, man, you'll expose 4 more. You're like, what the fuck? You know, I got more now than I did when I started. But sometimes that's just the way it goes. I don't know how much luck I'm going to have getting that out. It's actually in the woven jute. When I say woven, guys, this stuff, it's just jute cord that's woven kind of like burlap. But I think it's way tougher. Yeah, I don't know how thin I'm gonna make that trying to sand it out. I'm not gonna dig a ditch in it trying to get that out. It's just part of the micarta's personality sometimes. You know, if you've got a lot to work with and you can, you know, spare making it thinner, but I don't really want to do that here. I don't know that these are visually perfect, but I can tell you this, with the chamfering I've done and with that little ramp right there, see it? That thing feels really, really good. Might could use just a little more slant, a little more thinning here. So I might do a little bit of that while I'm in the mood. Hey, grab a few takes a sample though. If I can find some. I know I got some somewhere. All right, I'm back, guys. I said when I curl my knuckles around this thing, there's just I wouldn't call it a hot spot, but there's just seems like there's just a little thickness right here that I think if I tapered it a little more, would be more comfortable. So I'm going to give that a shot. Just a little more taper. I'm using a thin piece of micarta here. Not really trying to thin it any, I just want a little more chamfer there. It just felt a little bit square. With prolonged use, you will definitely feel that. I don't know how much time Stevie's going to spend in the PNW chasing down bears and Sasquatch and using this thing, but I don't want him to cut his time short because my knife was uncomfortable though. That's for sure. Speaking of knives, did you guys see that that knife that Donnie Bless posted on Instagram today? That real, I'm probably saying this wrong, but it's just very industrial looking, man. I love the shit out of it. It's got a dark stone wash with some deep, scratchy looking stone washing. I'm sorry, it had a dark acid wash with some deep stone washing. Very pronounced lines in the stone wash. I posted it on my story. I was a big fan of that thing. And I make enough money to buy one from him. That's exactly what I want. And I also want it in the left-handed model, just like that one is, because I am right-handed, but I knife with my left hand. You don't know what that means? I mean, I open them, shut them. I do all the mechanics of a pocket knife with my left hand. I typically switch to my right and cut. I know that's not tactically smart, but I'm not using a pocket knife in a tactical situation anyway. Hopefully at 53, I'm never in another tactical situation. Actually, a couple of imperfections in that twill pattern. One right there around the pin. That one right there, but man, they're slick as glass. You can't catch them. They're just there. It's just a different color. There's really not much I can do about that. Yeah, that definitely feels better. That took some of that squareness out of the inside of the handle. I'm happy with that. Let me set that one aside for a little bit. I've got to go cut these pins off of this knife and start the shaping and all that good crap. All right, I got them shaved off. Now we can get back to the old grinder and start flushing some of this up. Start some shaping. I'm gonna have to take this one up, guys. I've got this ground so thin, it's already trying to cut me. Give me a little protection anyway. quick and easy. This one's getting, I know there's another word for it, but I just call it the rock texture handles. I think it's pretty fitting for this design, so I've been doing a lot of them that way. You don't have a whole lot of handle there, so it's nice to have that added texture. Nice match, Shane. Thanks, Patina. I've got one. Right there. I just don't think about it for little shit like that, man. I wear it when I'm doing some heavy duty grinding. Now to knock these rough edges off. That's about the lots of traction, but no sharp edges. Been doing something recently. Not sure if we're going to continue as part of my process, but I've liked the results I've gotten out of the few I've done. After I stonewashed, or after I acid etched this M4, it looks really good if I go back and Scotch brite it. It doesn't remove all of it, but it leaves it with this, I don't know, man, this midnight gray sheen. I don't know what you call it. This tape is too damn good. Every time I put it on, I fucking struggle getting it all back off. I bought it at home for painting my kitchen, and I very quickly realized that everything I stuck it to, you can't use it to like paint lines because it'll peel not just the tape but the top layer of the sheetrock off with it. Just way too strong. So, heading out loose here. I haven't really tried it on the wheel before. Great thing about this is I've done it a couple of times and wasn't really happy with the outcome. But the really good thing is M4, I can dip it right back in the ferric chloride and re-etch it in just 5 minutes. So let's see how this one turns out. one. I don't know what that black line is, where that just came from. It just happened. The whole purpose of this is just like a industrial kind of look to it. I didn't want these to be super fancy and shiny. Let me try cleaning that off with alcohol, see if whatever that is. It's weird. I don't know where that came from. Okay, yeah, it's coming off. Apparently there was something up in that jimping that got wiped down when I was doing it. There's another spot right there. My metal protected on there. Had a guy tap me on Facebook over my goons talking about how was everything wrong with this craft, and I was ruining the knife industry by not putting out highly refined knives. Because I know my refinement needs some work, but I can tell you right now, this knife was never intended to be refined. It's supposed to be, I mean, the knife is supposed to look like it was thrown together at a machine shop. However, it is M4, it's a high quality knife. I just wanted to give it that industrial, I don't know what to call it. I just want it to look rough and tumble. I think it did a pretty good job of that. But fuck that guy. Anyway, he makes a bunch of old cowboy looking, like Randall made stuff. I can appreciate that, but that's not what I'm into. Yeah, Joe, rugged. I wanted it rugged looking. That knife was designed. I know there's not much design language there, but the original one is a legit pipe hitting, Harley riding, tattoo ink slinging badass here in town, and this is what he wanted, to carry with him on all his bike rides. So I've made more of them. This is not something to wear to your sister-in-law's wedding. So there's that. I'm going to take a break for a moment. We're going to go back to putting handles on joke wolves when I get back. I'm not actually going anywhere. I'm going to step outside, kind of catch up on chat a little bit, see who all's in here. These cigarettes taste awesome. I've had them for probably 3 months. That's how often I smoke. So they're starting to get a little dried up on me. I don't miss smoking. I want one every now and then, and I can have one. And it doesn't make me want another one for quite some time. Can 18 horsepower push like 35 foot? Man, I don't know anything about boats, buddy. This is my best friend's shop. He's the boat guy. 18 horse push a 35-foot boat? I mean, it could push it, but probably not much faster than I could push it. Josh, I'd be tickled to death for you to have one, man. Hi, man. How are you? We're good, buddy. We're in the shop, mostly putting scales on knives tonight. I don't have any bevels to grind. I do have a bunch of raw steel to cut up. I don't know if I'm going to get to that tonight or not. I imagine I will when I get some handles glued up. It's best, the longer you can wait before you mess with it, the better off you are. So I may get handles glued up until all my clamps are kind of taken up, and then start cutting up some steel. Nathan Walker, 15N20 is a fine steel, man. 15N20 won the war. 15N20, nearly every saw blade you buy, the reason it don't sling apart and split your skull open is because it's made of 15N20. I have much appreciation for 15N20. If I were going to make high carbon knives, like something really heavy duty, a chopper, an axe, a hatchet, a tomahawk, it'd be 15N20. If I wanted it to hold an edge a super long time and be as tough as 15N20, I would use Crewware. Big fan of Crewware, but like I said, 15N20 is a fine steel, but it does not compare to the edge holding ability of Crewware. Stone cold. You should check out that jank in the dark side. Joe, I literally walked around my house and realized there's nowhere in my house that I could get it dark enough to see. I knew what it was when I got it. I haven't gotten to see it glow yet, but I'm excited about it. When I get home tonight, I will be. Yeah, old tool steel is still awesome, man. I mean, it all depends on your usage, If I know the odds of this ever happening are very slim, but we all like to fantasize about, if society collapsed and we had to walk off into the mountains and try to survive. I would not want that M4 blade, just simply because, guys, when I sharpen those, even with diamond, it takes me way longer than I would like. I would hate to be stuck with a dull M4 knife in the middle of the apocalypse without a good way of sharpening it. It probably would be 15N20, in all honesty. I like 15N20 a lot better than 1095. I don't understand knife companies that are still making knives out of 1095. Well, I'm not going to get into that. I just don't. There's so much better steel out there. Even 15N20, there's just so much better stuff out there that's just as cost effective. I just don't get it. Yeah, 01, A2, they're great. I've got a big chunk of 8670 in there that a customer, you guys know him, I still haven't had permission to mention it, but I'll make sure I ask him. Big stick, 4 foot long, 4-inch wide stick of 8670 in there that I'm making a extremely hard use knife for a guy. It's 3/16 inch thick. Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather my one walk into the woods and never come home. Yeah, it would probably be 15N20 or 8670. I like CRV too, Patina, and I haven't personally used it, so I'm not speaking from experience, but everybody I've talked to said you can look at 80 CRV2 and it'll rust. So I don't know, man. Maybe that was just their experience. Maybe they were in a really humid environment. Maybe they didn't treat it. I've got that Amsoil metal treatment I spray on my blades with. I've got a piece of Bear M4 in there right now that's been in Alabama in the humidity for weeks, and it's still silver and shiny. I had a Manix 2 and 52100 I've got selling. 52100 stuff. Kyle, I tend to agree. And that's what's weird. Like, I think it's just a stigma. I think your old timers, the K-bar in 1095 won the war and blah, blah, blah. And I think they've just labeled 14C as a cheap steel, even though it's about the same price as 1095. It's tougher than 1095. It doesn't rust. It holds an edge better than 1095. There's Millions of reasons to use 14C, but I don't know what it would do to people like Tops and Essie's brand recognition if they went to 14C. And another thing too, it's really hard to find it thick. When I've shot for 14C, man, it all comes very thin. So maybe that's it. Maybe, it all comes from overseas, and I haven't been able to purchase. I haven't been able to find any, even 3/16 inch 14C. It may exist, but I've not seen it. Well, eventually the fuzz will go away. Yeah, you're right there. Yeah, 12C is even tougher. A little less edge retention, but would you notice the difference, man, in all honesty? Well, I'm telling you, that's probably the reason why you did a fixed patina. You created that layer of oxidization that blocks it out from rusting, so that's probably why. And maybe that's why, well, no, because I've got a piece of barium 4 in there with a 36 grit finish on it. Dude, that should be begging to rust. And I just sprayed it with that metal protectant, which is just like Amsoil's metal protector. Is just supposed to be a higher end WD-40. Stick with ABL's your budget still. See, the only reason I don't go with ABL, and it may be completely made up in my mind, but I've heard so much about it warping, and it and Nitro V are so close, and I haven't heard any complaints with Nitro V warping. I haven't had the first piece of Nitro V come back to me warped, so I've just stuck with it. I don't know that ABL wouldn't be just as good. It may very well be. Maybe better than Nitro V for all I know. I know you can run it harder, but Cheeto, you're one of the few people that remember my original knife idea was a hollow ground chisel, and ABL would certainly be prone to warpage if you only ground one side like that. So that's why I stepped away from I decided not to use ABL. Now I haven't made any of those knives since, and I've swapped that up, guys. And I don't care if anybody buys them. I want to make them. I want one. I got a couple of buddies I think want one. I'm going to make, Cheeto, keep in mind that first knife I was telling you about, but I'm going to make it in a push dagger with a short but deep hollow grind. I don't want to call it a push dagger. It's really a push knife because it's going to be a Wharncliffe hollow chisel ground Wharncliffe blade on a push handle. So those are coming. Somebody's coming up the driveway. I bet that's old meathead. Yeah, that's them. But guys, I'm going to jump off here and holler at him while he's here. And he ain't about all that YouTube bullshit. So I'll see you guys soon.